Hello, my friends. My name is Adam, and I'm on a quest to be the most prolific reviewer of all time, which means I review books, movies, television, podcast plays, diet soda, whatever you want, whatever I want, basically. And yesterday, my daughter was over here, and she doesn't often come because she is like incredibly busy because she goes to music school and she has a bunch of concerts that she has to do. But she took time out of her busy schedule to spend some time with her old man, and she was talking to her boyfriend, and I'm like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And she's like, "Oh, I haven't seen the Hunger Games movie, and but I saw the prequel, so I think it would be interesting to watch the original." I'm like, there was a prequel to the Hunger Games, but yeah, apparently there was a prequel to the Hunger Games, and I have seen this movie before, and I think that I kind of had a negative reaction to the whole Hunger Games phenomenon. But I read the book last year, and I think that I understand the point of it much better. And so when we're watching the film, I kind of like, yeah, it's good. There are some flaws with the film, but I think that Jennifer Lawrence does this great job of portraying somebody who's in this really horrible situation because even if she wins, she loses. She loses some of her humanity. And if you don't know the plot of the Hunger Games, basically there's this big country called Panem, and Panem is basically this city state which controls these 12 districts, and the 12 districts, they each produce something for the city. And it kind of, that part doesn't really make a lot of sense because one district produces coal, although they have lighter than air, lighter than air aircraft, which doesn't really seem, they don't seem to be using coal. But anyway, each of these 12 districts every year selects a boy and a girl to be tribunes, and then they fight to the death as sort of a sacrifice because these districts rebelled against the city 75 years ago, whatever. So they fight to the death, and then the person who wins kind of gets taken care of for the rest of their life, but in return they have to be the coach for the people from their district. And so they have something called the gathering where the tribunes are selected, and they're supposed to be selected randomly, but it doesn't look like they have much of a random selection because when they do the lottery kind of draws, they have this not really machine, somebody's like turning it. They turn this thing around and it spins, and then they pull out the number randomly. So this one is just a big bowl, and they pick one. One person picks one. So that has a lot of chances for corruption, right? Not to say that this is a wholly ethical situation. So Candace sister, she gets picked during the gathering, and Candace volunteers. Katniss. Why am I saying Candace? It's Katniss. Katniss volunteers. Katniss is being played, of course, by Jennifer Lawrence in one of her more formative roles, probably one of the roles she's most famous for. So she volunteers, and then we see basically her being taken to the Capitol, and these tributes being treated like rock stars because they're gonna die, right? So it's kind of like this sporting spectacle that's on television, and there is this plot about how Katniss went with the guy from her district, Pita, they know each other, and the movie is hinting at some kind of conflict, but it's not really clear exactly what it is until later. So, is the movie good? Yes and no. But let me just say that Jennifer Lawrence does an excellent job, and the actor doing playing PETA, Hutcherson, which I guess my daughter knows who that is. I'm not sure. Maybe he's in more famous stuff now. But yeah, so he also does a good job. But and I think that the story, it's like Dan Brown, right? Like Dan Brown writes incredibly interesting stories, but when you actually read it, the though he's not a great writer. He's a guy who comes up with great stories, but the writing is little inadequate. Like, I think that I remember a line from a Dan Brown novel, which was basically like a French guy says au revoir, and then the text is, which means goodbye. I'm sorry if you're reading a novel and you don't know what au revoir means, maybe look it up. The novelist is not there to tell you what simple words mean in French, especially in English, because, we kind of know what au revoir means. Anyway, I have a feeling that this movie is kind of like that. It's it's an interesting story, so it grabs your attention, and the main leads do a great job, so they keep your attention. But actually, the technical details of the movie are not great. Like, there's a lot of steady cam, quick cuts in the beginning, which is a bit disorientating. And I don't think that they do that later when the actual game starts, but they're doing it when Katniss is hunting a deer, and so there's a lot of. I think they're trying to make you feel uncomfortable because there's a chance that Katniss could get caught and what she's doing is illegal, but it doesn't work. And then there's this other part where PETA is good at camouflage because he works as a baker, and his father taught him how to decorate cakes. So, because his father taught him how to decorate cakes, he comes up with this really complicated camouflage. And it's just so dumb. Like, he has this, he's literally like painted his face to look like rocks and painted his body to look like grass, and he's like lying in the rocks on the rocks, so his face is like matching the rock. And that's not how camouflage works at all in humans, because humans move around, right? So what you want to do is you want to have like your body camouflage so it kind of looks like the environment from a distance, so it's harder to see you. You're not literally matching everything. You're not like a chameleon, especially in this situation where would he get some material from nature that would make him look exactly like the rock? It doesn't make any sense. So I think that there are a lot of small details like that um, really don't help tell the story. And I think that there are smaller things too, like the the capital is garish and colorful, but the colors, because it's a movie from 2012, are also kind of muted. Although they have colors, and the districts look um, really interesting. I mean, dull. They look very, very dull. One thing, Donald Sutherland does a great job as Jon Snow, the corrupt president of Panem. And I met Donald Sutherland once. It was in the airport, probably sometime in the 90s in Toronto, Pearson Airport. And at the time, they had like these like payphones, and he was standing near a payphone. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I walked up to him and I said, "Hi, you're Donald Sutherland." And he said, "Yeah, I know." Like, oh, okay. And then I left. And I tell that story like all the time. But I told it to my daughter yesterday, and she was like, "What? Really? You've never told me that story before?" I'm like, "I think I probably told you that story before." That's like one of my famous stories, because every person my age has a few famous stories that they repeat and repeat, and that's one of them. The one time I met someone famous. All right, so if you like my reviews, please give me a like and a subscription on YouTube. Follow me on Spotify. I'm trying to get to 900 subscriptions by the end of April on YouTube, and we had a goal of 800 by the end of March, and we reached it. So I'm very happy, and thank you for your support. So if you'd like what I do, put a comment. Yeah, if you have some thoughts about Hunger Games. So kind of, I would give it like a B plus. So acting really good, story really good, execution not so great, but it's like what, an hour and 40 minutes. So you can definitely suffer through this one, and you won't suffer if you haven't seen it. But I can't imagine there are a lot of people who haven't seen this movie. All right, thanks. Bye bye.